You know, he's a magician. And he happens also to be the tallest priest in the Diocese of Toledo.
He is.
And a wonderful, wonderful pastor. Good morning to you, Father Mark Davis. Remember, send me that $10. That's what those compliments cost you. Good morning to you.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think I'm supposed to say that
$10?
on the air. I'm sorry.
Oh, my gosh. It used to be $5.
We have a bigger audience now, Father. So.
Well, actually, I thought you were saying all of these good things. I thought my mother was paying you, but she passed a couple years ago.
No, you're the one getting the invoice, Father.
Hey, how was the wedding in Chicago, Dave?
Could not have been nicer. I had a wonderful opportunity to be there with my wife's family, all of whom are Indiana University of Indiana, IU, Indiana University graduates and very big sports fans of theirs. So had some interesting conversations. Very, very good.
Were they kind to you?
Yeah, and just because God doesn't like me, and it was confirmed again, we were at the reception, and of course they announced the fact that Mendoza had won the Heisman right during the reception. So not only did I have to take egg on my face for the game, also for the Heisman Trophy winner. So there you go. But it was fun otherwise.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
You're a Ohio State fan. It doesn't really matter because you beat Michigan.
Yeah, well, that didn't matter until we didn't beat. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's good. We often say it's the only thing that matters, but we really don't mean it.
Yes. And Michigan continues to beat itself in many ways.
Oh, my goodness, Pat.
What a mess. Ooh, I know.
We got Steve Clark coming up in a little bit. We're going to talk about that thing.
So, it's the 15th, 10 days before Christmas. This past weekend was Pink Candle Sunday. It's Joyful Sunday. Yeah. And that's the theme today of my little reflection is joy. And there's a story about Mr. and Mrs. Potato. They had 3 daughters, and they were as smart as they were lovely and wonderful people. And one day, the first daughter came home, and she said, "I've got an announcement." And what might that be, said the mother. Well, I'm getting married. And the other daughter squealed with surprise as the mother exclaimed, "Married? That's wonderful. And who are you marrying, eldest daughter?" "I'm marrying a russet." "A russet? Oh, a russet is a fine tater. A fine tater indeed." As the family shared in the joy, the middle daughter says, "I too am getting married." "Oh my gosh, and who are you marrying?" I'm getting married to an Idaho." "Oh, an Idaho is a fine tater." Oh, and then finally, the youngest daughter, she sheepishly said, "Well, I have an announcement to make too." "Yes," said the mother potato. "Well, I hope this doesn't come as a shock, but I'm getting married as well." "Really? All of my daughters married. What wonderful news. And pray tell, youngest daughter, who are you marrying?" "Well, I'm marrying Dan Rather." Dan Rather? She said, "Oh, but he's just a commentator."
Oh, no. Commentator. That's ridiculous. Now, Father, I do have a quick question for you. And spell potato. Spell potato first.
Oh.
Is there an E or no E? We just don't know. Okay. There you go. Commentator. That's ridiculous.
So last Friday, I had the honor to be at St. John the 23rd for the funeral of Father Joe Wigman. When I started seminary at St. Meinrad in 1990, was it 92? 91. In 91, I started in August, and Father Joe was ordained and left Meinrad just 3 months before me. He was a model seminarian. He was president of the student council there. He's just fun. Everyone loved him, and he had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis right before ordination. And if anyone knew Father Joe, he had used a electric wheelchair in recent years, and just a powerful preacher and a great spiritual director, and he was always so joyful. And so the priest, that one of the greatest honors a priest can receive is to have another priest ask them to preach the homily at their funeral. And so Father Tim Coomer, who was a missionary for 10 years or 9 years in Zimbabwe, gave the homily. And he said, you wonder why am I giving this? And, and then he told a bunch of stories. And then the final story, he said, I think the real reason that Father Joe asked me to be able to preach this was because in the 9 years that I was in Zimbabwe, I realized that the Tonga people who I was ministering to lived in a land, they were misplaced, they were moved by their government to a land that the map says is uninhabitable. There's nothing grows there. It's horrible, and this is the worst conditions that anyone could live in. But they were the most joyful people I'd ever been with. And he says, I realized, Father Tim said, that our capacity to suffer leads to our capacity for joy. The capacity for us to accept our suffering and to accept it and live in it and open ourselves in vulnerability and pain to God allows us the capacity for joy. And he said Father Joe Wigman showed that to us in all of his ministry, being joyful and fun and very, very humble. And like when people would go to him, I know personally, for spiritual direction, whenever you started feeling too sorry for yourself, he could just look at himself and go, tell me about it. But this, as we get ready for Christmas, everyone, this whole idea of being able to go through our suffering and to be the capacity to do the things we don't want to do, to be able to be uncomfortable, to be able to accept the fact that we may have to go to 3 or 4 or 8 different places over time for Christmas, that the whole family won't be there at once, that the fact that we're going to be celebrating this Christmas without a loved one who passed, the fact that there may be a recent divorce or some recent tragedy, loss of job, whatever we're uncomfortable about in the world and all these shootings going on, that no matter what is going on, it is through our suffering that gives us the capacity for joy. I recently saw a picture of Elizabeth and Mary when they met with great joy. This painting is showing them with great joy, and it made me realize they were suffering. They were an oppressed people. They were in a difficult situation and unusual, but they allowed themselves through their suffering to be able to experience great joy. And even though we're used to the Christmas scene, the scholars, when I studied in Israel, said, the fact that Mary and Joseph had no place to stay wasn't because the Hyatt was booked. It was because none of Joseph's family wanted anything to do with them. And I think realizing that the Holy Family suffered, that Jesus was born poor in a suffering and oppressed people, helps us to realize that in our lives we are called as disciples, as people who are supposed to be apprentices for Jesus, to be with him, be like him, and do what he did. That we're called to embrace our own suffering and remember that the capacity for us to suffer is our capacity to bring the joy of God in the world in our time.
Very true. I always, my students, we just closed out a class on this, and it was like redemptive suffering was a whole new concept to them. They had some beautiful reflections. Very true.
And Pat, that's our whole faith. That Jesus didn't say that we wouldn't suffer, but that it was worth it and that good comes out of it. God bless you everyone. Happy Advent.